Okay, in the last video we talked about slope-intercept form. It's a really good form. All we need to find the equation of a line is the line's slope and the y value of its y-intercept. And this is a really great form. We always want our equations of our lines in this form because if we're given an equation of a line in this form, we can basically tell what the line looks like. So we always want our lines in this form. However, we can only find the equation of a line using slope-intercept form if we're given the y-intercept. And it's not always the case that we're given the y-intercept, so we often have to use another form for a line called point-slope form. And here's what point-slope form looks like. The m in this equation is the same as the m in slope-intercept form. It's just the slope. The y and the x in this equation are the same as the y and the x in the slope-intercept equation. They're just going to stay there. However, this x1 and y1 is a little bit different than anything we'd seen before. The x1 and the y1 in this equation represent the x-coordinate and y-coordinate of any point on this line. So let's take a look at how we might use this. Let's consider this problem. Find the equation of the line with the slope of 3 passing through the point 4, -1. Now this is a little bit different than the problems we did in the last video where we used slope-intercept form. Because while we are given a slope of 3, we're given this point right here. And you'll notice that that is not the y-intercept. So we're not going to use slope-intercept form to find the equation of our line in this example, since this point is not the y-intercept. What we're going to use is point-slope form. Let's do it. So I copied down the equation, the point-slope equation, right here. And all we have to do to find the equation of our line is plug in 3 for our slope, that's m, and plug in 4, -1 for our x1 and y1 values. Let's do it. Y minus, now y1 is -1, so we actually have a minus a -1, equals m is 3, x minus an x1 is 4. So all we did was copy down the information given into our point-slope equation. All we have to do now is write this equation in a nice form. And that nice form actually means getting y by itself so that the equation looks like slope-intercept form. Let's do that. Y minus a -1 becomes y plus 1. If we distribute the 3 through the parentheses, we get 3x minus 12. And getting y by itself means just subtracting 1 from both sides of the equation. So we have y equals 3x, and if we subtract 1 more from -12, we get -13. And that's the answer. The equation of the line with the slope of 3 passing through the point 4, -1 is y equals 3x minus 13. So any problem where you're giving a slope and a point in a line, you can do exactly like this. The only complication you might run into is the slope might be a fraction. You might have some fractions in these points. If you run into that, you're just going to have to remember how to multiply fractions or add fractions. If you need help with that, you can go back to our old videos about multiplying and adding fractions. But for now, let's do a different type of problem. Let's find the equation of the line passing through the points 2, -4 and 3, 10. Now the difference between this problem and the problem right before it was, in this problem we're not given a slope. However, we are given 2 points, and if we think back to a few videos ago, we're able to find the slope between 2 points. So what we can do is we can find the slope of this line first, and that will turn it into a problem just like the problem above. Let's do it. So if you recall, the equation for slope, you can call it rise over run. It's the difference between the 2 y values divided by the difference between the 2 x values. The equation that we wrote down looks something like this, if this rings a bell. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call 310 the second point, point 2. So that's going to make my numbers y2 minus y1 10 minus a negative 4. Then x2 minus x1 is going to be 3 minus 2. A little bit of simplification gives us that this is 14 over 1, which of course we can just write as 14. So now we have a slope and it's 14. And we actually have 2 points to choose from. So we can do this problem exactly like the one above. The only question is, which one of these 2 points are we going to choose? The answer is it doesn't matter. I'll choose 2, negative 4. And if you at home want to choose 310 and work out your numbers, we should end up with the same equation. So now I've copied down point slope form. And all we have to do is plug our slope in whichever point you choose into x1 and y1. So we have y minus y1. I'm going to choose this point here, negative 4 as y1. Slope is 14. And x1, since I chose negative 4 for y1, x1 is going to be 2. Now we can simplify this and get y by itself just like we did in the previous example. Y plus 4 is what the left side turns into. If we distribute the 14 through the parentheses, we get 14x minus 2 times 14 is 28. Now getting y by itself just means subtracting 4 from both sides. And if we subtract 4 from both sides of this equation, the right side ends up being 14x minus 32. That's my equation. Now if you had used x1 is 3 and y1 is 10 in this point slope form, you should end up with this same equation for the line. And again, anytime you're given 2 points in this type of problem, the first thing you're going to want to do is calculate a slope. Then you can take that slope and one of your points and use point slope form to get the equation of your line. Again, the only complication you might run into is you might have to actually use fractions, which would involve adding, subtracting, multiplying fractions. And again, if you need help with that, you can refer to our other videos. Let's do this example. Let's find the equation of the line passing through the point 1, negative 5 that is perpendicular to the line x plus 2y equals 6. Now again, just like the last problem that we did, we're given a point, but we're not necessarily given a slope, and we know we need a slope. So really the slope is given to us through this information. Knowing that our line is perpendicular to this line given actually indirectly gives us a slope. If we can find the slope of the line given, x plus 2y equals 6, then that means that we can find the slope of our perpendicular line using the rules about slopes of parallel and perpendicular lines from the previous video. To do that, the first thing we have to do is find the slope of the line given, x plus 2y equals 6. The way that you find a slope of any line is to put it into slope-intercept form, which means solve for y. So get y by itself. First step in getting y by itself is to subtract x from both sides. And just like the previous video, I'm going to write it in this order. Negative x plus 6. To get y by itself, you have to divide everything by 2, which means we're going to end up with negative 1/2, 1 over 2, x plus, divide that by 2 and you get 3. So now it's easy to see that the slope of the given line is negative 1/2. But what does that mean for the slope of our line? Our line is actually going to be perpendicular to the given line. Well, the rules for perpendicular lines say that perpendicular lines have negative reciprocal slopes. So if the given line has a slope of negative 1/2, that means our line has a slope of positive 2 over 1, or positive 2. Now that we have our slope of 2, and we were originally given a point, negative 1, negative 5, we can use those 2 pieces of information in our point slope form to find the equation of a line. Now I know that was a lot of steps, but this is a video, so feel free to go back and watch it as many times as you need to understand what just happened there. I'm going to go forward and plug in our slope and our point into the point slope form. Y minus our y1 value, if we go back, was -5. Our slope is 2. And our x1 value in the original problem was -1. All we have to do is simplify that and get y by itself, and we have ourselves an answer. So simplifying is going to give us a y plus 5. Distributing the 2 through the parentheses is going to give us 2x, and since this minus minus would have been a plus 1, we're going to get a plus 2. Getting y by itself just means subtracting 5, and we have 2x minus 3. That is the answer. That is the equation of the line with the slope that's perpendicular to the given line that passes through the point -1, -5. Okay, for this video quiz, you're going to find the equation of the line through the points -3, 8, and 0, 2. Just make sure your final answer is in the appropriate form, and that would be slope-intercept form.